It was just, just incredible with special effects, CG, just everything, and it was really good. So they open with Bianca versus Asuka versus Becky in a triple threat. This was, I've got a major gripe about this, but this match was very good. My major gripe is Becky Lynch is a blatant thigh slapper, and she did it repeatedly in this match to the point that it took it away. It has me looking at her work less because she's doing it. She does it like the AEW girls do, where she just goes boop, like a little playful slap on your thigh while you're doing a kick. And I'm like, it looks terrible. And I'm sorry, I always pick on that, but it's like the rest of her work was good, and this match was actually very well laid out. And Bianca, basically the finish is Belair caught Asuka go for a hop attack and then powered her up and slammed her face into a turnbuckle. Lynch threw Belair to the floor, then put Asuka down with a manhandle slam, and Belair returned and tossed Lynch to ringside, then covered and pinned Asuka. Very well done timed finish, as they always nail the finishes. I haven't seen them screw up finishes in a long time on these shows. Did you notice that?
What?
They never really screw up the finishes.
Right.
They
probably go over it a couple times.
What did you think of this match?
I liked what Becky was wearing. People were really behind Bianca. Bianca did a drop kick that looked brutal because only one leg hit her and it wasn't fully extended. Asuka, solid worker, killer kicks as usual. Real good match and opener. This was a triple threat with Bianca defending the title. I was thinking to myself at one point, I wonder what this would have looked like if it would have been a Hell in a Cell. Mm-hmm. But anyways, I thought this was a good match, and and all three of them, all three of them had enough time to do their.
Yeah, but Becky needs to stop at the thigh slapping because it's like the rest of her work is fine because she's not as athletic as Becky. Not necessary. She's not as athletic with Becky.
Look at when Asuka kicks, how good it looks, and she doesn't have to slap her thighs.
But let me tell you what Becky does very well. She does the old Scott Steiner forearms. Like she clubs you in the pretty hard in the back, with and throws them to smell. Like when she's beating on the girls, with their thing, it looks good. Because you can tell they're live rounds, but she's hitting them across the part of the back, which is safe. But it makes her look tough.
Another great thing about Becky that she did in this match, she sells very well.
Yes, she does. So next, MVP was talking intensely to Omos when Cedric Alexander showed up, and MVP told Alexander that the Hurt Business is done and will never come back. It's time for you to go, Omos told Alexander. The video pack. Now this is okay. I got a comment here. They had a video package which included the MVP rapping to set up this match, right? I'm just wondering if they're going to go forward with this type of content with MVP where he's like a rapper, because they got rid of what was the rap faction they had in NXT, and they just got rid of all the guys. Something Row, Def Row, or something like that, or
the one with Swerve.
Hit Row. I'm wondering if they like MVP, bro, I can rap too, and it's all right. We probably don't need these guys, then we'll just do this stuff going forward with you. So I don't know.
Bro, MVP's got to be almost 50. I don't think people want to really hear him rapping. But anyways, he does have a flow, and he's great on the mic. But I think that's more for
Okay, so let's go over
the
match.
age that Hit Row was.
Right. So MVP against Omos. All right, and. I've been critical of Omos. I can't look by how green he is. Bro, he was very serviceable in this match. However they laid this out or whatever, it was short. It was 8 minutes. Okay, it was a handicap match. But basically, MVP checked in and hit Lashley with a running boot to the head, was sent to ringside, and Omos ran around the ring and shoulder blocked Lashley through the timekeeper's barricade. That looked good. The only thing that Omos should have done was stood there, let it gestate, and then go and climb back in the ring. But he ran around the ring, gave him a body block and knocked and crushed the barricade over, and then got up and ran back into the ring. Okay, and
Bro, I love the fact that when he put him through the barricade, the guy goes, "Look at the speed of him." I'm looking at this guy this guy looks like either A, has a Charlie horse, or if a turtle was standing on its hind legs and it tried to run.
Right.
The guy's not athletic. I hated everything about this. Let me just say this. I hated everything about this, including the fact that it continues. He's not that intimidating. He's trash talking out in that funny African accent during the match. They kept it short, which was good. At least MVP was there to hide him. But I'm just not into him yet. And then, of course, they brought Cedric out to protect him.
Well, let me tell you the finish here. Moments later, Cedric Alexander ran in and was clotheslined over the top rope by Omos. And when Omos turned around, Lashley speared him. Lashley avoided a running kick from MVP and then put him in the hurt lock until he gave up. And so Lashley beats him and got a good pop, too. He got a really good pop on the finish here. After the match, he goes to ringside and grabs a replica championship belt from a fan and held it up on the broadcast team. Said he was sending a message to who'll be champion. I thought this was the best. He's still green. Definitely the best Omos match that he's been in so far. That's what I would say. So then they announced that Cody Rhodes got injured. Okay, and he said Seth Rollins is salivating over the idea of facing a wounded Rhodes. Kevin Owens makes his entrance and footage of his issues with Ezekiel aired. Send Elias out here, Owens barked while standing in the ring. Ezekiel made his entrance. Owens versus Ezekiel. Let me just get to the finish here. Ezekiel bled from a cut on the left side of his... hang on. Owens came back with a pop-up powerbomb for near fall. Your Elias admitted, Owens said, before pie-facing Ezekiel multiple times. Ezekiel fired up, put Owens down with a knee strike. And Ezekiel went up top again, but Owens shot up and crotched him on the ropes and threw a couple of kicks at Ezekiel, knocked him off the ropes, and then cannonballed him in the corner and put Ezekiel down with a stunner and then pinned him. 9 minutes and 20 seconds. I want to say this. I know Ezekiel is Elias, but Ezekiel looks like he's a better worker than Elias was. Have you noticed this? Like
maybe
Elias
maybe he's more motivated.
Or maybe he's like thinner, like he lost weight because he seems like he's a lot... Elias was kind of like methodical in his work.
Yeah,
Ezekiel's taking really good bumps, and
You're
I'm
right
like,
about that.
And I was going like, that was like another angle, like, but you could go back and watch an Elias match and watch an Ezekiel match, and you would say these are not the two same guys. They're working completely differently.
And I wonder if he did that on purpose. He said, let me pick up my style, because before he was over because he was playing the guitar, walk with Elias, and he didn't have to do much. Now he's like, bro, I already been put on the shelf once, and I'm not going to be put on the shelf again.
Right.
This was a good match. Not great, but it was a good match. I was entertained. He hit Ezekiel with a few super kicks and then hit him with the stunner. And I love the way that Owen stays true to his character during the whole match. He's going, he's a liar. He's a liar. That's not Ezekiel. That was funny to me.
So they do the Judgment Day next against AJ, Balor, and Liv Morgan. They had a tag match the week before this, and it's kind of like the same people involved and stuff and everything. But basically, all 6 wrestlers fall in the ring. Babyfaces cleared Judgment Day from the ring, and Styles and Balor dove onto Edge and Priest. Then Morgan capped off the sequence with a dive onto Riley. That was actually. Did you see the dive that Liv Morgan did to Rhea Ripley on the outside?
Yep.
She dives to suicide to what do you call it? Suicido tope through the ropes that where she landed on her, like she did a missile and landed straight onto Ripley, who took a bump right on her back.
Yeah.
Like it looked really good. I was like, that's how a suicide that's how it should look. You dive onto the girl and plant her into the ground, which is where she took the bump. Looked really good. Edge tagged in and Balor caught Edge with a kick, but then Priest chokeslammed him. Styles checked in and was taken out. Balor hit some of his signature offense on Edge and went up top for his finisher, but this time Ripley stood between him and Edge. Morgan climbed onto the back of Ripley and they tumbled to the floor. And Balor went up for the coup de grace, but Edge moved and Edge speared Balor and pinned him. So the Judgment Day goes over. We knew they would. They weren't going to beat them this early. What do you think?
The crowd gave the baby faces a great reaction, like all of them. They were really over with the crowd. The crowd also, bro, that hot tag by Styles was great.
Right, yeah.
I mean, AJ reminds me a lot of Riddle in the match that he had with the Usos, where he took it to another level and he reminded you how great he really is. And I give AJ even more credit because for his age and time in the business and all the crazy bumps, he was incredible here. Respect. I like what Rhea Ripley was wearing. And I like the fact she was showing her legs, which are all tatted up. She's got a great look.
Oh, she does. Excellent look. She looks very imposing. She's muscular. She's got big shoulders.
Yeah, and she's physical.
Yeah. Right.
I like the look of that group too.
Yeah. All right. So next is Corbin versus Madcap Moss in the no holds bar match. Bro, Madcap Moss does great punches.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Excellent punches. It looked like he was punching. He looked like he was punching him right in the face. So that's how good the punches looked. I don't know if he was lighting him up like Austin used to, where he basically said like the like your fist is like a rubber mallet, like hitting you in the side of the neck. But he looks tough when he fights. But basically, this broke down into. They did a very, very good detailed spot. They're fighting on the stage. He runs him into the screen. Okay, one of the screens, and the screen started doing like staticky, like a TV is stat, like they hit it, and it malfunctioned. You know, it was like
I like those little attention to details.
Very intelligent attention to detail, and they just have a lot of brilliant people there, and they thought of that. Well, we should do this, and they think of things like that, right?
Yeah, and it adds to the reality of it.
Right, exactly. So basically, they breaks down. Corbin threw a chair and Moss into the ring. Corbin grabbed the bottom piece of the ring steps and brought it inside the ring. And Corbin leaned over the steps in the corner. Moss stuffed whatever move Corbin's going to perform, and they gave him a fall-away slam onto the steps, which looked really good. He's pretty strong, but that looked good. Picture this: the steps are are laying on the corner, tilted. Moss stood in front of the steps with his back to it and just did the fall-away slam into the steps and threw him pretty good in there. That looked good. Then he performed his punchline neck breaker. Then he wrapped a chair around the neck of Corbin, and then he slammed the ring steps into him before pinning him, and the EMTs took him out. It's a good finish. Like that's what they were building up to. Like he got his receipt back and hurt him even more.
That was a strong finish. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I was like, wow, for a baby face.
Yeah, I know.
But the people were behind it. They were like, good, he deserves it.
Right.
But this was just like a hardcore match, weapons match, chairs, steps, announcers, anything they could. But they did a good job and people were into it and a good finish.
Yeah. I fast forward to the next match because it's flat. Theory versus Ali. Most of the build up to this match didn't even make it on the Hulu.
Here's my favorite part of this match.
Mm-hmm.
They announced him from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
He was wearing this thing that said Chicago Ali or something like that, Shy Ali or whatever. Okay, and the fans were like, "So what?" They didn't give a shit, bro.
No.
They showed that guy when the match was happening. There was no heat, But Theory's great. Theory was great. He was trash talking all the time, and good guy's great.
So next is our main event. And by the way, throughout the packages for these matches are excellent. Yeah. Don't when you watch, if you're going to go back and watch these pay-per-views, I would suggest watch these packages to watch how well they do them. Because a lot of people think you can tell that guys like Dave and Brian and these guys, when they watch these shows, it seems like they don't pay attention to these. Because these packages are what really separates WWE from everybody. They're so well done,
They are.
Cody versus Seth in a Hell in a Cell. They do the thing where Seth comes out with an obnoxious-looking robe on, and he takes it off, and he's dressed in the polka dots like Dusty used to wear when Vince made Dusty.
That was great.
The polka dot thing. Cody comes out. You can tell his chest is something wrong, and when he takes his jacket off, the crowd was just in shock at the black and blue on the chest. And
he was very smart. He used that injury to his advantage.
Absolutely.
Like you said, it looks worse than it is, but it looks really bad, know, and it made him look tougher. Yeah. And
it did make him look tougher, and he got to sell more.
Right, because he would hit him there, yeah.
Right. And so they did a lot of things, and they did the sledgehammer. So he was getting heat on. He's driving the sledgehammer and his thing and
the cane.
The cane. They were.
I like when Seth pulled out the table and the band started to chant, "Thank you, Rollins." Right. So they do a thing here. Rollins went for another stomp when Cody stood up, and Cody avoided it. And Cody went for the crossroads. But Seth countered it and hit it to move himself. And he was going to do another one, but then Cody countered it and hit him, and then they both stayed down. I'm not it's like he hit him with his finish, and he no-sold the guy hitting him with his own finish, and he got to hit him with it. But the other guys, then they sold it. I don't know. I don't like the no-sell spot. Cody won a race with a sledgehammer, but his arm gave out. That was actually pretty good. Oh, here's another thing I forgot that they used, Glenn, a bull rope.
Yeah, that's right. In the middle of this, he pulls a bull rope
That's
out
old school.
And challenges Seth to put the bull rope on. And Seth looks and they milk this, And so, all right, I'll put the bull. And they did a couple very good entertaining spots with the bull rope. Yeah. We flipped him around and everything. So it's they had an idea. Their ideas for this match all worked. Everything worked. Every idea they had was very Very well done here.
You could tell, kudos to both, because you could tell they were probably thinking about this for days. It was a main event. It was Hell in the Cell, and they probably sent each other text messages. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? Got there really early, went over it. Like, they really put their time into it. So I have much respect for that.
And I think what they did is they knew, like, Cody knows his, like, because when I tore my pick, I knew what I could and couldn't do, right?
Right.
And I bet you they didn't really change much, but they said, well, just sell your injury when you're doing it, which is what they did. And it was good selling. Right. I'm wondering if Cody. I'm wondering if Cody went back to WWE because this just fits his style of work more. You know what I'm saying? He's a structured guy that came up through the system and stuff. Everything like AEW's kind of like.
I think there's also a part of him that
Go ahead.
I also think there's definitely a part of him that wanted to go back there and prove that he could make it there. You know, and I think that once people were coming in and getting paid more than him, that he started the company. He was like, this place. If they're not gonna pay me when I helped start this, I'm out of here.
Right.
Yeah, and
to be honest, the whole maybe I just thought of this just now. Let me finish the thing. We'll talk about this after the match. But basically, Cody Rollins went for the sledgehammer, went to hit him with it. Cody kicked him and hit him with the crossovers 2 more times. T's going for it the 3rd time, and instead picked up the hammer and then ran and hit him with the hammer and then pinned him. And I don't know what if Cody talked Vince into this or whatever, but like, bro, they're really overly producing him as like a baby face. Like, there's a lot of emotion, crowd shots, like just like their typical like baby face that I think Vince McMahon has always wanted. And then just a lot of the guys have just never really been able to do it, but Cody's doing it very well. He's like their perfect, blonde baby face guy. You know what I'm saying?
Not just that. Don't forget, Cody took acting lessons.
Right.
In LA.
Right.
He was going to be an actor before he got into wrestling. I remember that. Yeah. Actually, in Dustin's book, he was like, my younger brother, he's been taking acting lessons, says he doesn't want anything to do with the business. He's like, but I see the twinkle in his eye or something like that.
Yeah, well,
I remember that Dusty Rhodes
Go ahead.
actually told me that he used to go, because he lived in Austin, I guess, and he used to go to Robert Rodriguez's like seminars and like where he lives. And I wonder if he took Cody with him, I mean.
Because this is another thing too. This is what I wanted to, before I forget. So the whole AEW thing started with a challenge where basically Dave Meltzer had said on Twitter one time, they'll never sell out 10,000 people. Like it's and Cody basically like he couldn't sell out. He couldn't have a 10,000 seat indie show, and Cody kind of took him up on it.
He said, "I'll take that bet.
I'll take that bet." And it's like, I just wonder if Cody feels like that he kind of like in AEW is kind of like being disrespected as the guy that started this whole thing. And like you said, they're bringing in other guys, they're paying more and stuff. They're not paying him. What he thinks like he's the guy that basically came up with the whole concept to begin with. And I wonder if that was him just basically saying, I'll just, him but just maybe getting a little bit offended.
From what I understand from very credible sources, had become very difficult to work with, and there was inner turmoil between him and some of the other guys,
Right. Well, I think you can just tell. Right. This is Cody's element in the WWE system, production stuff, and just like I just don't think he probably ever resonated with those guys that have never. I guarantee you, they've had these conversations. They probably had these conversations a lot. Where the Bucks and these guys are trying to, or Kenny are trying to tell him the way they should do things, and him say, "Dude, I've worked in the TV system for years and years and years and years."
Well, it was more than that. Believe me, it was more than that. But anyways, the bottom line is that I just think that at one point he must have come to the realization, I can either stay here and fight and be an EVP and have to deal with all this jealousy and people, wanting to be around me to see if I can hook them up with work, and I get a lot of heat, whatever, and I can't really, I'm still young and I really want to wrestle. I want to be a superstar. I've never been a superstar. Or I can go over there, make sure I get a push, make sure I get paid. I know the game now, and now I got to bet on myself too, And he understood that system fitted him better.
Yeah, and you can see the difference in the audiences too. The stuff that he was doing in AEW towards the end was always getting booed and on. He's not doing things that much different in WWE, but the crowd's embracing him. You know, he probably
plus,
had that
too,
in mind too.
Here's another thing too. Maybe this is is that Vince for years never really did much with Cody. He was Stardust. He was in tags. He was just never really broke out, right? And I wonder if Vince just somebody said, "Hey, you got to watch this," and they just showed Cody in the middle of the ring, very well dressed, cutting a good babyface promos, and sitting there probably saying why did we let this guy go? It's that's the type of guy I want on my show. They say, well, you didn't do anything with him. It's I may have thought of. I think I can do something with him now because this guy looks like a good, clean cut, well dressed, well spoken babyface character, which is exactly what they've done with him since he's come back. So I don't know, but he's in a great spot. So probably he's in the main. Cody, the message they're sending to all because AEW, bro, their roster is AEW's roster bigger than WWE's now. It seems like it. Because
the
WWE guys, we see them.
Here's another thing that he also got accused of riding the coattails of the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega with the Ring of Honor in New Japan. Now he's like, okay, whose coattails am I riding now?
Right. Exactly.
I think there's a lot of pride in him. We're you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you bet
against me. Well, you tell there's pride because these guys, bro, a lot of these guys have pride, and you know what? You know
all
how
those
you can
Georgia
tell?
Guys.
Because if a guy like me makes a critical comment on Twitter, these guys come after me. Because they do have a lot of pride in what they do, and they don't like it when people are criticized.
Would you
being
consider
critical.
yourself and Cody Georgia boys?
Yeah, we're both of the mean. I consider myself the king of Marietta. All right, even though he lives there, I'm still the king of Marietta. You can tell him that.
Tell him who runs that place.
Yeah. If I ever see him jogging down Old Canton Road, we might have words.
It's on. Is it on site?
I'm the king
it's
of
on
Marietta,
site.
right? That would be a funny vignette. How funny of a vignette would that be?
Hey, young man, come here.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, hopefully one day he gets over whatever you said about him, and
right. So let's make
I'll chop it up.
Let's make a point here. This is 3 straight WWE pay-per-views that have really been kind of excellent and over-delivered and exceeded expectations, which is why I think they're getting a little bit of a not so much of a buzz, but their shows have kind of they're not losing viewers anymore. It's kind of they got their audience now, and they're kind of there's more negative.
Well, they got a lot of good going on. Yeah. More better, more good than bad. Before it was the other way around. Right. Exactly. All right. So that's been our pay-per-view review. Enjoy the rest of the show. Boom.